also take. So welcome to this webinar. We are also recording in order to share with you, only with the participants of this webinar. Then you can reuse these recordings or even share it with other colleagues. So it's a pleasure to welcome you and thank you for joining this important effort here in the with this webinar. So this is the agenda, but before, so as we will have my colleagues André Vieira, Leonidas, Sabil, we will manage this presentation, but be aware that now you can also meet this person, so you will see the faces. So André Vieira is here it's from part of the OpenAIRE team, so helping you in the managing some help desk, some issues with the provide service. So Leonidas, Sabil, and Christina will help you with the aggregation part. So this is the person that we are in charge of this webinar, but in fact are the people that will support if you need to count with us to the work that we are presenting and the things that you may need to do in terms of upgrading your repository compatibility. So we are having this webinar because we are in a transition phase, so related with the acquisition policy of OpenAIRE. So we really need your action. So we invited the repository managers that we have identified as those that have driver or version 2 compliant repositories, asking you to do an effort to work on upgrading your compatibility level. Okay, some of you may receive the invitation for this email by mistake or because we use different spreadsheets with contacts, but so you will check if you are in one of these cases, but the majority, so we are here to help you. So why do we need this work and this effort from you? In fact, something that we have already started last year in the beginning and even in the end of 2022. So then we detail about the differences in the guidelines and what we are asking you with some practical guidance and tips. So after the practical guidance and tips in the topic number 2, we stop a bit for your questions. So we give a pause, and then if you have any question, please ask in that moment. You can also ask in the chat, and then we will use this moment here in the topic number 2 to discuss. Then also we want to have a part that we have this topic about upgrade scenarios that I think it's important for you to check if you represent yourself, your repository in the scenarios that we are going to present to you. In fact, they are based on tickets of help desk that we have already received. So maybe it's your case. So then after the practical guidance, questions and answers, and then we have these upgrade scenarios for discussions, and you can ask other questions. And then if needed, we will detail a bit about the OpenAIRE Provide services, but this is just an additional thing. Be aware that after the end of the call, the maximum is 1 hour. Let's see if we do it a bit less. We are available here, and then we can create breakout rooms, etc. For a clinic. If you want to clarify something, accessing the provide or specific things with the metadata from your repository, we are here to support. You can talk with me, with Andrea, Leonidas, Sabil, Christina. So we are available to support you in a kind of clinic or bilateral or in group. Let's say depends of how many people will stay after. So maybe within the discussions and the questions, we can like frozen the discussion in the webinar and ask you to jump in. So this is the agenda. Hope that it's a good agenda to fit your needs of clarification. Okay. Quickly, and then I give the floor to Leonidas to clarify things about the differences between the guidelines and what we are asking you to do. So there are 3 or 4 highlights that we want to give you. Why should you upgrade your repository compliance compatibility with the guidelines version 3 and 4? There are different reasons. One of the most important is this alignment with the EOSC EC node. So all the work that are being done in different projects and in the context of EOSC and in the ecosystem of EOSC. So in the interoperability framework of EOSC, OpenAIRE guidelines are placed there, but the version 3 and the version 4 of the guidelines are the only compatible versions of the OpenAIRE guidelines that are eligible to get your data source, your repository, your system onboarded in EOSC. Okay, this was a work done in the past in several projects, but mainly in EOSC Future, approved by the Commission now. With the work under this EOSC EC node, things are being done in practical terms, so be aware of this. So we already advised you in the past a bit, but now it's the critical moment. So for you to be aware of this. So we need to improve the metadata to align with global standards, to make the data more contextualized, more flexible. This is critical. So one of the main reasons is this alignment, but of course there are other reasons, because we need structured information, project information, links, references, and we really need to move towards a more informative metadata and not so flat and unstructured metadata. So to give you a more highlight about this, we need to improve the interoperability to meet the latest repository standards. So contextualized metadata. So we are talking about relationships, links, entities, because we all manage this kind of effort in our institution. So this is critical, and version 3, but mainly version 4 of the guidelines, this is where this is quite feasible. Then of course vocabularies, control vocabularies that are part of the OpenAIRE guidelines, they are critical, and we really need to have this when it comes to different kinds of representation of the information, resource types, versioning, rights, etc. So we need to improve this. And with this, we also it's also important to have alignment with a critical ongoing development when it comes to open science policies, mandates, standards, etc. So we are not able to cope with the needs of national systems with the EOSC node if we stay in the driver status of the guidelines. So we really need to do something more. Okay, there are other reasons, of course, related with the fairness, etc. So I think the main topics are presented to you. This alignment with the EOSC and this improvement of interoperability is critical. So this is the moment for you also to expose the metadata. In fact, in some cases you have that in your repository. So it was a kind of lack of action with the relationship between you and OpenAIRE, but let's check that now in practical terms. Okay, we don't need to go into these details because I think it's everything done. Before we move forward, two things to clarify, because we are asking you to do something, so maybe introduce something to improve your metadata you need, and then to register the new, maybe you need to register the new OAIP image interface, maybe you need to do something to validate and to test the validation of your resource. So you need to have access to the OpenAIRE Provide service. Okay, please confirm if you have access. In some cases you don't have access, because in some cases of your repository it was something that you have done a long time ago, or another person in representing your institution did that like 7 or 8 years ago, so you are not aware, so you don't have access. Please check. We are here to support you. So try to access provide.openair.eu log in if you don't have access, so follow these instructions. You can also ask Andre in the chat what is the account connected to your data source. So it will be hard to Andre to manage everything, but Andre will do the best if he can deal with this during the webinar or later. But you can ask Andre. So there are two things. Please check if you have access. In some cases, there is already an account connected to your repository, to your data source, but you are not aware. We can tell you. That account may be active or inactive. This is the second thing. So if it is active, we can provide you, etc., and you clarify, we check access, etc. If it is inactive, you need to wait a bit more. Then we need to perform some actions here in our side. If your account doesn't have if your data source, sorry, doesn't have an account connected clearly, or someone that is or not working in your institution, or an account that an email that doesn't exist, we can work with you in order for you to create an account, and then we provide you access to that to your repository in the OpenAIRE dashboard, in the Provide dashboard. Okay. I suppose Andre already shared the slides. Yes, Andre already shared the slides. You can check these instructions later if you have any doubts and clarify that. To finish, the second clarification is about it's about the timeline. Okay. Sorry. So about the timeline, in order to make it clear, not for you to have panic, but at least for us to be completely transparent. The information that we are pushing now, in fact, was something that we have already provided to the community. We have already put it in the newsletter items. We present in two community calls that we have, so at the end of 2022 and the beginning of 2023. We publish, we initiated a campaign, quite strong campaign during 3 or 4 months before summer last year. Some people quickly react and did something, others just inform us that they will do something later or in the coming year, etc. So now it's time really to act, because we expect to, by September, October, to dismiss your repository as a direct data source of OpenAIRE. Okay. And start, but we have a plan B. We have a solution if we need to discard and to exclude your repository, because we don't want to lose your content. So we have an agreement with the base system. Okay, in fact, colleagues that are in OpenAIRE since the beginning, so we have an agreement with them in order to ensure that the content of your driver compliant repositories, we have it harvested in OpenAIRE and part of OpenAIRE infrastructure via base, but not collecting directly from your data source. We collect it from an aggregator. We have it available in OpenAIRE, but not with the enrichments that are available for others. And of course, you don't have access to the facilities and to the functionalities of the OpenAIRE Provide dashboard. Okay, I hope this timeline make clear things. So this is our intention. So if you can do something until September, October, it's great. If you are going to do something in the 2nd of November, we can manage with you a solution, but let's stay in touch in order to align this agenda. But this is the clear agenda. So it's a moment that we exclude your repository and the moment that we start having the content from your repository from another source. Okay, hope that is what this was clear. Then we can clarify things in 10 or 15 minutes after Leonidas' presentation and Sabil clarifications also. So Leonidas, do you want to share the screen or do you want me to move the slides? So maybe it's better to you.
Thanks, but it's better to share my screen.
Okay, perfect. So
yes.
let's just go. Okay, And thank you for your attention. Let's go now with the details of the guidelines. I think it's important for you to understand the differences in the history of the guidelines and then to make it clear what are the differences here.
Yes, thank you, Pedro. So let's start about defining the OpenAIRE Interoperability Guidelines, which is a common metadata framework for exchanging minimum metadata information. They have been established since the beginning in order to support the open access strategy of the European Commission. They have been developed, of course, to ensure full alignment with the EOSC interoperability framework, to meet, of course, the requirements of the OpenAIRE infrastructure, and to ensure that your data is fair and they follow the FAIR principles. As being compliant with the OpenAIRE guidelines, you are also fair enough. With the OpenAIRE guidelines, you need to expose your research products, your publications, datasets, and of course your quiz metadata via the OpenAIRE PMH protocol in order to integrate with the OpenAIRE infrastructure. So, what does OpenAIRE collect according to the level of compatibility of your data source? We can start with the OpenAIRE basic guidelines, where we collect only open access content, and we have a specific OAI set through the OAI PMH protocol, the driver OAI set. In the OpenAIRE version 2, we collect only European Commission funded content from European Commission via specific EC funded resources OAI set. And the OpenAIRE 2 Plus version is a combination where we collect only open access and European Commission funded content. Then we have the version 3 and version 4, which will be the supported versions from September, October onwards, regarding the aggregation of the data sources. In OpenAIRE version 3, we collect open access, EC funded, and other funding content, regardless of European Commission or not. We have a specific OAI set in the OAI PMH protocol, which is the OpenAIRE OAI set. For all this version of the guidelines, we support the Dublin Core metadata schema. In OpenAIRE version 4, first of all, we collect open and closed content, and we follow the new content acquisition policy of OpenAIRE. And of course, we have created a new metadata scheme prefix, the OAI OpenAIRE metadata prefix, which is based on the DataSite metadata schema, the Dublin Core metadata schema, and a few other fields on custom OpenAIRE metadata schema, which we'll talk in the next slides. So what are the key points to follow when you're trying to become compatible with the OpenAIRE guidelines? Of course, the first requirement is to have for your repositories to be able to expose the repository's metadata via an OAI PMH endpoint, and in the format that has been addressed by the application profile of the OpenAIRE guidelines. We have an example link for the version 4, and you can also follow the website of the OpenAIRE guidelines, as long as publications that we have in Zenodo with details for each version. You can follow the instruction in order to populate the respective fields for each version of the guidelines. And of course, you have to populate at least all the mandatory fields and attributes. Of course, the more populated fields you have, the better the data quality will be. And of course, we will be able to offer better quality through our services. In the OpenAIRE guidelines, we have the mandatory fields, the mandatory if applicable fields, the recommended fields, and the optional fields. The mandatory fields is the ones that need to be populated, and all the other fields as more as you can. We have a list here with at least the mandatory fields, but you can see, of course, details in the documentation. So, for guidelines version 3, as we have already said, they expose not only funded publications from the European Commission, but also other open access publications regardless of their funding. We have introduced the Horizon Europe funding program from the European Commission with specific vocabulary, and of course, a very important step in the OpenAIRE Guidelines version 3, the linking of publications to other publications, such as reference, and to datasets. In the Guidelines version 4, we can expose open and non-open access publications together with funding information. We introduce the Dublin core and datasite metadata schemas, as I have already told you, in the new OAI metadata prefix OAI OpenAIRE, and the new schema namespace OpenAIRE, where we have additional elements following the custom of the datasite schema, but with additional elements or options in order to populate the respective fields. We have identified schemes for authors, organizations, funders, and scholarly resources from ORCID IDs, persistent identifiers, ROR IDs, etc., and other identifier schemes. We use the core control vocabularies for the interoperability, as already Pedro have analyzed it in his presentation. And of course, the OpenAIRE Guidelines 4, version 4 are compliant with the OpenAIRE content acquisition policy. So, how do I expose the metadata of my repository? You can see details in the website of the OpenAIRE Guidelines, and of course, there is a sample, especially for the Guidelines version 4, the publication is a node where you can see the details in a PDF, of course. You can see documentation, and you can also have in XSD and XML format record samples and metadata schemas that you should follow in order to expose the metadata. Now I can give the floor to Sabil to continue the presentation.
Thank you, Leonidas. So as we saw earlier that there's guidelines available on the website. So if we visit guidelines.openair.eu, we can see this documentation. So it helps us in the syntax and semantics of our metadata. So over there, all the fields are mentioned which needs to be there in our metadata, and they are marked with M, A, R, and O. So first is the mandatory ones, which means they must be there. And then there's mandatory if applicable. So sometimes if a field needs to represent something, for example, if the metadata is about a file, then the size field becomes mandatory. So when metadata is representing file, then it is applicable here to have a size of that file. And then the third one is recommended one, and then we have the optional ones which are not mandatory, but then if they are there, they enrich our metadata. And also on this website we have examples which helps us with the syntax of our metadata. For example, here we are looking at the element title, and there are now two elements here for the title. In the first one, we have the main title, and in the second element, it's a subtitle. And here the subtitle is a controlled vocabulary. And this all is in this documentation on their website. Yes, so if you have any questions about this documentations or how to upgrade your level of compatibility with version 3 or 4, then please feel free to ask.
Okay, maybe now it's the time to just stop a bit and
yes,
you have also the slides. If you wanted to ask any question, the idea now is that we are going to present you 4 or 5 scenarios that you may identify yourself. In fact, I was already changing in the chat a message with Laura that is participating. That in fact is one of the scenarios that we have related with CRIS systems. But if there is any question, you can ask now. Clarification about what I presented at the beginning and now what Leonidas and Sabio presented. Yes, Jean Blaise, yes, please.
Yes, hello.
And hello.
I have got a question regarding the language, because there is an attribute in the title for expressing the language of the title, and there is another attribute for the language of the publication, and they don't use the same vocabulary. We can use the ISO 639.3 for the language, but not for the language of the title. And it's a bit strange and difficult because we've got only one language schema code in our repository. Should I have to convert this for the title?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, okay.
Let us
question.
check this.
Yes.
Yes.
We want the language of the publication, and we only have one field. So your question is, so you need to, your question is that you identify in different ways the language?
Yes, well, I've got the language following the code ISO 639.
Yes, yes, like we
in three letters.
Yes.
But I cannot use that in the language of the title if I follow your rules and your documentation, because for the title I should follow only the IANA language subtag registry, which is on the 2-letter basis.
Yes. It's true. What do we do, Sabil? Because this is, we have done this when we align it with dataset, I remember.
Yeah.
This is why is this so it's not a problem for me not to provide a clear answer, because this is a community-driven thing. So when we established in the beginning, so clearly so we need to follow the standard, and we have ISO 639. And when we did the recent update to align also with to integrate, this is why we say that the guidelines reuse well-established standards with the dataset, and dataset have that thing for the title.
Well, yes, I think that
we can
check and identify if we can find a solution for this, because in these fields we currently follow the vocabularies and what is introduced in the respective metadata schemas. For the language.
But here, so so to follow the language, they need to provide the 2 letters in one case and the 3 letters in other case. So if they follow our rules, okay, we can accept both. Sabil, what do we do? Just to make it clear.
Well,
do we transform anything, or we don't want to transform, but
we can transform if it's an issue that they cannot use the IETF BCP 47, the IANA language subtag registry, then we have to write the transformation rule there.
Yeah, but I don't think this is not critical, Jean. If you don't expose, if you expose only in one side properly the language and not in other side, this is not this will not we don't discard you, so this is not a critical thing.
And the language of the title, the attribute language of the title is optional.
Yes, this is what we are talking about, just to make it clear also for the people. So and the language.
The language of the publication is more important. That's why we have it mandatory if applicable.
We can repeat the language.
Yeah, true. The language attribute in the title is optional. So even if it is missing, it's okay.
So Jean, if you cannot expose it, you don't expose it in the title. Not in the, not here, not in the language. Thank you, Jean, please. Blase. Okay, sorry, I miss. You are French.
And mostly in when you expose it in the title, it's mostly whether you have more titles than one.
Yes.
Because if you have only one title,
yeah, sure. This is exactly
follow.
This is exactly the problem I've got. So, but
I see.
I take the suggestion from Sabir.
Yes.
I will give the ISO standard form, and you take care of the transform form. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's not. Yes, it's optional also, so it's not critical. Okay.
Thanks.
Perfect. Any other question? Let me check the chat, and then we can move.
Yes, we have.
Okay.
We have. Let me check again. So we have one question from about the use of Connect, but I think this question was already replied.
Yes, I already replied. I can then at the end make it more clear in terms of the provide access.
We have a question from Cecile. Last question.
So don't be afraid. I'm also talking now to Frances. Don't be afraid to present your case specifically, then, because then we can provide a more clear answer, okay? Or to present your Connect gateway that you are talking about, in order for us to clearly, sometimes to give a more comprehensive reply, okay? Cecile, provided we won't be able to become OpenAIRE 4.0 compliant in the coming year, I suppose our publication will be harvest-based base. What procedure should we advise to our researchers so that they are not too heavily impacted by the change? Okay. Okay, thank you for your question. So here of course we need to analyze properly all the impact that we have, but in fact for your researchers it's not so it's not critical. So what for the end users, like the researchers, is not critical. They need to deposit in your repository, make it available in open access, and this content will be made available in OpenAIRE. The issue is that we may sometimes lose links to projects, or when it comes to compliance with funders, etc. So this is critical. So we don't lose the content. We may not lose the links to the projects, but as we are aggregating from another source, we may have issues accessing. If the information is not clearly in the metadata, to identify the project links, we may not be visible. Then we can find the links in the full text, and having aggregated the metadata from an aggregator, we may have not access to the full text. So this will, we may have some limitations, but this is the only limitations I see clearly. Leonidas, am I missing something here?
No,
because if the content is available in open access, is okay. So when it comes to the reporting to the European Commission, imagine this clear case. If the information is in the metadata, we don't lose that. If we find the link by the test mining procedures in OpenAIRE, because we have the full text, we don't expose the full text. Be aware of this, okay? We don't act like other aggregators that people access the full text via our provider. We just use the full text to enrich the corpus, okay? So we may lose that. Okay.
We have
Sorry.
a question from CO Ban. If you have updated to version 4, will the older records in version 3 still harvested?
Sabio, maybe you can clarify this. No, no.
No, we will switch.
Yes.
Yeah, we will switch to metadata prefix for version 4, and version 3 will not be aggregated anymore then.
Your question is because you may lose records, or you may lose metadata information. I don't know. I don't think so. But...
Hello, sorry.
Okay.
Yes, we changed over to version 4 in 2020, but we were just concerned about the previous records to go back a good few years.
Okay.
So these previous records are already in your repository?
They are, yeah.
Yeah, so we will perform a refresh. Once we have upgraded, then all the records will be fetched again via version 4.
So, okay, so they would be all harvested once that's refreshed.
That's right.
Okay, that's great. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you very much. The question, let me check.
Regarding a question on the OJS platform,
Yes.
that is, I must say that I need to say that in the Craft-OA project, Masaryk University has developed a plugin, an OJS plugin, that supports the OpenAIRE Guidelines version 4. In the next days, it will be published as a deliverable, and soon it will also be available through GitHub in order for everyone that uses the OJS platform to be able to use it to become OpenAIRE 4 version 4 compliant. We will have respective dissemination and information about this in the next days, weeks.
Thank you. About Cecile, the other question about the base. I need the confirmation here, Sabil, but I don't think I'm wrong. So we are collecting all the content from base, and if base is collecting from driver set, you are only exposing the open access content. If please check that, Cecile, in base. Okay, you need to check what you have in base, because we are collecting everything that you have in base, and this is what you are exposing to base. If base is aggregating your driver set, you only have open access content there. But if base is aggregating your entire collection, you have everything there. So we are collecting everything, all the metadata, closed access and open access. But it depends of what base is aggregating for your data source. We can confirm, okay? You just need to share with us the data source. You will feel free to ask the question in audio, okay? Okay, let's proceed with the use case scenarios. I ask Andre to check questions that I will check. Sorry, I will check the questions that are not answered, and I will come back. Okay, maybe Andre, better for you to manage now the presentation of the use case scenarios together with Leonidas. We will go one by one, and I think it's good because we stop 2 or 3 minutes in each, and then you can identify yourself, and then you will receive clear instructions. Okay.
So let me share my screen.
Okay, and I will check the chat, okay, and reply directly or wait or later, okay? You will reply to all your questions, okay? Okay, let's proceed with the scenarios in order for you to be more aware of what you need to do. Okay, the first scenario.
Okay, in the first scenario, I think it was already answered. So if you are planning to update the compatibility level only next year, for example, after this date we have presented, September, October this year. So OpenAIRE will stop aggregating the records from your repository. But when you are ready to comply with the latest versions of the OpenAIRE guidelines, you can register again your repository in OpenAIRE Provide, and then OpenAIRE can start aggregating again the contents from your repository, and you can access again also your repository dashboard in OpenAIRE Provide and benefit from the other functionalities such as the users counts, the broker events, and the other functionalities that are available in OpenAIRE Provide. I think this point is clear for all. Vinicius, do you want to go with this?
Yes. Another scenario, my repository is already following the latest version of the guidelines, but it's not yet updated in OpenAIRE. Neither the OAI PMH URL or the compatibility level. What should I do? We have two options here. The first two, you can update or add the new interface in the Provide dashboard. In the Interfaces tab, and then the aggregation, we will evaluate the base URL and also the compatibility, and we will update the compatibility level and inform about the aggregation process. The steps you should follow is you can access your repository dashboard at the Provide dashboard, and then you select update interfaces. If the OAI PMH URL is the same, you just update in the existing interface the desired compatibility level. And we get a notification, and then we follow up the entire process. If your repository has a new OAI PMH URL, you can select the option to add a new interface with a new OAI PMH URL, and we can follow the same process. If you have an account, if you are administering several repositories, because we have also such cases, you can contact us if you change the OAI PMH URL for all of them. You can contact us in order to find a better, more quick solution in this. But we offer this only when you have multiple repositories that you manage.
If you have questions about this scenario, if it is your case, if you would like to raise some questions, feel free to open your microphone. Okay, if not, we can move to the next case. So my repository was registered in OpenAIRE several years ago, but in the meantime, it was upgraded, let's say, to a CRIS system. How should we proceed to be compatible? So if this happen to your repository, the best solution is to register your CRIS system in OpenAIRE Provide and be compatible with the OpenAIRE guidelines for CRIS managers. And this way, you can have a dedicated registration for your CRIS system and follow the required guidelines for this data source type for CRIS systems. And then OpenAIRE will stop aggregating contents from the old repository if the old repository is not, let's say, informing new contents via the OAI PMH interface. So we will consider only the CRIS registration. So please confirm if you have this case. Please confirm your registration in OpenAIRE Provide, and if you need an additional guidance or support from our side, please let us know. Okay, let's move to with another. Dennis, do you want to talk about the supported platforms and the plugins
Yes,
that are available?
and of course we have two plugins regarding the disk space and the ePrint software platform. You can find the respective links in this slide. Also, a few people have already asked questions regarding both of the software platforms and the plugin. Of course, regarding the stability and the issues you're facing for any software platform that you use, of course, you can send us, you can ask us, you can send us an email, and we will try to assist you as much as we can on the solution. If we can find the solution regarding the plugin, any steps you can follow, but of course, we cannot go inside the software and perform these changes. And in the upgrade compatibility blog post we have, we also mentioning all these things there, and also what knowledge, technical knowledge do I need to have in order to perform this upgrade. And in the pure platform, all you have to do is expose your metadata records via the OAI OpenAIRE or the OAI Dublin Core metadata schemas.
Okay. And I think we
Okay.
have already
Maybe
presented.
Sabil, you can also clarify the thing about the OpenAIRE set. Okay, there are questions here also about that. It says that you may want to create a custom set for a IPMage interface. There is this question from Zislava. Okay. Do you want to clarify something?
I'm
Sabil?
trying to find that question. There's so many questions.
Yes.
Can you read it?
Can we confirm if we need an IPMage custom set to be defined and given the ID OpenAIRE?
You don't specifically have to define a set, but if you want us to fetch data only from a particular set, we can do that. You can provide this information in the provide dashboard. You can select that particular set, but if you do not select any set, then we will fetch the whole data from all the available sets.
So it means it's not mandatory to comply with the guidelines. Okay, thank you.
Yes. I also know the answer, but I want to have different people providing answers. But this is important, okay? But in some cases, so there are repositories that you may have like the specific type of content that you don't want, that is not scientific, let's say academic oriented, and you don't want to expose it. This is why the set is also critical. In the past, yes, we had the EC funded set and then OpenAIRE, and now we don't need that set. Or we can accept it if you need it. I think I have replied to all questions. Okay, maybe there are some new questions here. Let's go, Andre. Maybe you can go to the just keep presenting the slides. We will share some so we will provide some more answers. Please, I ask Leonidas and Sabil also to check the last questions. And the next slide. So just quickly, so you have access currently to the OpenAIRE content provider dashboards. If you don't have access, it's because of any old account or you were integrated with an account that is not available, is not active. Okay, so be aware that Andre can provide you the support in the chat right now, later in the clinic, or via help desk. Okay, be aware of that. The OpenAIRE content provider dashboard is one-stop shop web service for all the type of features that are targeting repository managers and quiz managers, journal editors, etc. For content content providers, it's quite important because there are additional features in the so next slide. We have a set of different functionalities available where you can open to all validate and use the validator, where you can register, where you can update the information of the registration. This is what we are asking, and you have the collection monitor, where you can check how many records are we aggregating, etc. And you have the then quite useful area that is related with the broker, the open access broker service that we offer. So where you can have suggestions of metadata enrichments, that is quite useful and informative. Then a service related with the user statistics, so that you can enable this service, and the OpenAIRE will provide you with views and downloads data for you, and of course there is an area to provide the notifications that is linking to the enrichment service, that you can ask for specific enrichment metadata that you will receive in the area of the notifications. What is really useful, apart from the services that are open to all, the validator and the registration form, is that after you have a data source here, you are able to monitor your collection, to update the information of your repository, included the interface, the OpenAIRE PMH interface, and then to receive broker metadata enrichment events, and to collect data about the statistics. So this is the main things that we want to highlight you about the provide service, that some of you may be aware. The issue of you not updating for the recent version and losing this direct access is that you will lose the access to this service, which is a pity. Which is a pity to get, because you will lose like the metadata or the notifications, and also the control of the aggregation history of your repository. And this is all. So about what we want to highlight from the dashboard. Let's go to the questions. Are there any questions that we need to answer? So Alex, thank you for the question. So Pure users, do you know when can the metadata formats in Pure be configured? I don't see an option to switch formats. Okay. So I don't know that from the Pure system. What we know is that this issue with the Pure system is also something in the past. What the Pure did was to create a straightforward solution to create an OpenAIRE PMH interface, like a repository thing, so to expose the information of the publications. But in fact, Pure systems are compliant with the metadata, OpenAIRE CRIS guidelines. Okay, when we say, just to make it clear, maybe we should also have, but it was in the information of the scenarios, but maybe it was not so clear. So when we say please move your repository to version 3 and 4, we are not talking about the CRIS guidelines. So all the systems that are compliant with the CRIS OpenAIRE guidelines, they are okay. We don't have any issue with that. What we have in Pure systems, Alex, is that some of them are compliant with old versions because it was a straightforward solution in the past. But now, in fact, Pure system can be registered as a CRIS system, aligned with the CRIS OpenAIRE guidelines. Okay, let's work together to see if we can solve that thing. Okay. As we realize over the invitation and the preparation of this webinar, and also I'm realizing now with these questions that you are putting, we will try to contact and to give clear information to Pure team in order to facilitate their customers. I think this I thought this was clear because we are working with Eurocris. We are providing all these informations in the Eurocris conferences. There was a conference recently also, and the team of Eurocris are the authors of the CRIS OpenAIRE guidelines together with us. So and I know that Pure system are also quite active there. So let's try to give them the clear information and to see if this is something that we can solve. So please, Leonidas and the others, help me to reply to all questions. Be aware that we can stay after, okay? If you have any question, we can have arrange bilateral meetings to clarify things. More granular information, Jan Blaze. It's about what we want is more granular information, please. Yeah. Georgie, about the validator. The validator, you just need it's open to everyone. You really just need to connect and create an account. But an account in OpenAIRE, any account in OpenAIRE, and you are free to use the validator. Okay. The services that I were talking about, some of them are not available for those users that don't have a data source to manager, but all the rest is available. Okay, the validator are the type of services that are available by default. Okay, just to make it clear. So just be aware that you log in. So this area of the validator and this area of the registration, they are fully open to everyone. So they are here. So only those things that are related with a specific data source, okay, where you have this dashboard, okay, to update information. So update interfaces is here where you need to update the interface of your repository, of your base OAI PMH, or to update admin information, okay, and then all the other things, the enrichments that I have talked about, the users accounts, service facilities that we have also available, and then the notifications. This part, it's only for someone that have a data source. Validator, validation history, validate, and registration is open to everyone. Okay, Georgie, thank you for your question. Will just updating the ePrints plugin be sufficient to improve? Yes, I think yes. This is the information I have. I'm not so experienced with ePrints, but in fact, people that have that were close and part of OpenAIRE did this work in the past in ePrints. So I think this is the right answer. Yes, is yes. I'm not sure if based on the experience, Sabil have something to say, but I think this is the right answer is yes. Okay, we are coming to the end. In relation to the upgrade scenario where you are following the latest guidelines, but it's not been updated, OpenAIRE, do you have to go through the steps in each set, or does selecting not set means it will check each one? Yes, not selecting a set. Please, Leonidas or Sabil, help me with this answer from Asling, if I'm reading right.
If you
yes,
do not
yes,
select,
if you don't select, yes, okay. Yes.
Yeah, if you do not select any set, then data from all the sets will be aggregated.
Okay, Sarah, Iris system is from Italy, true?
We are already aggregating from Iris systems, and most of them are OpenAIRE version 4 compliant.
Yes. Yes. One thing that we may have, I'm not sure if it is the case, is that something that happened in the past, and so Sarah, be aware of that, or if it is your case or other cases in Italy that are here. We in the past, we aggregated several repositories from Italy compliant with driver guidelines, and later these repositories became part of the an IRIS system. But and we start aggregating from the new IRIS OAI PMH interface, but the managers didn't remove the old. In some cases, we have like a repository for an old repository and the same institution and more or less the same content have a new repository, and one is compliant with old version and the other one is compliant with the new. So I'm not sure. I know that we are cleaning this over the past years, but I'm not sure if we did it for all cases in Italy. Brianna, have you replied to Brianna? I see Andre. It's okay to the replies to Brianna?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Brianna, for your questions. You are great. Dominic. Did you reply to Dominic? No. If you are not able to upgrade. Saying thank you, Dominic, to these questions. How do we regain access later on? So it's when you come to the OpenAIRE to the provide and you register the repository again, and it's the account will not be deleted, only the yes. Because one thing that is important one thing is the account, that your account, and the other thing is the data sources. So we connect data sources to accounts. So we can have one data source that have different managers assessing the data source. Okay. I hope that I was clear. Yes, feel free, John.
Regarding the question, could you open validator for everyone to test any available repositories? Currently, it is available only through the Provide dashboard, but in the next version of the validator, of the metadata validator, which is under development, we are going to have
a standalone version.
Standalone version. Yes.
Perfect. Yes, Jen, please. Jen, please.
Yes. Regarding the guidelines, we've got version 3 and version 4, which implies that in the future, version 3 will be defunct and we will be only on version 4 and 5? Or are they really parallel and they will be maintained at the same time because they are not harvesting the same kind of topics?
Yes.
I don't see them as version 4 as an evolution of version 3.
Yes, important. That is important. The answer that we can give now is that we will keep 3 and 4, and we will improve 4 because we already need to align with the new metadata schema from dataset, these kind of things. And the idea is to move in a direction that we have, as you can see, guidelines for repositories not having the data separate from publication. So for the context of hybrid, that more and more we have these kind of things. But there are things that we are going to include in version 3, okay, that are critical, but we will keep 3, okay. Later we may discuss it in different ways, but so this is what we have in our so timeline. But your question is important. Just to add an information, and why I'm not being so like saying we will discard 3 and we will have 4, because we are moving in the guidelines management to a global management of the guidelines in place. So it's not only because the guidelines are not OpenAIRE guidelines so are the OpenAIRE guidelines, but are not only for the OpenAIRE infrastructure. OpenAIRE guidelines are being used in other regional infrastructures in the world, are being used in Canada, Japan, Latin America. So we want to have the management of the guidelines as a global management And in fact, people from La Referencia or from Japan will be part of the core team to manage the guidelines. So we cannot say we will discard this and this because this is a global movement. So from now on, we will be always try to be transparent with the community. In fact, we are going to have a presentation in the coming week in the Open Repositories, and we have a debate last year. So this is the idea. But there are 2 or 3 things, for example, related with the COAR vocabularies and things like that, that we need to integrate it in version 3 in order to make it more comprehensive. But because we know that there are specific things in version 4 that are not possible. So we can close the webinar now if we reply to all the questions, but we are still here. So recordings will be sent to everyone, the slides also. We are here, we stay here the coming 21 minutes. Okay, let's keep discussing. If anyone want to talk with Andre about accessing to the Provide, we can just set up a breakout session and we go in that direction, or we exchange information. But let's stay here. So those that want to, I hope that webinar was useful.